I'm back, and while every other YouTuber even tenuously linked to Sonic the Hedgehog will be playing, reviewing and covering the new mainline game Sonic Frontiers, I'll still be here, making videos in SRB2 and a few other fan games. One day, I'll have a computer powerful enough to run all of these newfangled modern AAA games, but for today, I'll be covering Nero 1024's Spyro the Dragon mod. Let's dive in. Gameplay wise, Spyro plays similarly to the vanilla cast of SRB2 characters, albeit at a much slower pace to them. When not using any abilities, he travels at a speed that is comparatively glacial when put next to the actual roster. But fear not, holding spinner will allow you to use Spyro's signature charge, which can destroy bandits and breakable walls, but not spikes, and will ratchet you up to a more expected speed, albeit at the cost of causing you to bump off any surface you touch. Being that he is a dragon, Spyro also has the ability to breathe fire by pressing custom 1, which has let Nero be a bit sneaky and make it so certain enemies can only be damaged by one of your two offensive abilities, although this comes into play so irregularly that you can mostly ignore it entirely. Pressing jump twice will allow you to glide, which is occasionally helpful, but I feel that you still fall so quickly using it that you still often miss the platform you're gliding towards anyway. Having not yet played any Spyro games, I have to assume this was done to match the physics found in those games, but here, it feels a little clunky. Seemingly to compensate for this, pressing custom 2 after gliding will cause you to hover, which isn't a particularly good name for what is essentially an extra jump, which can sometimes help reach platforms to stop your momentum, but again, just feels a little clunky. Finally, pressing custom 2 in air, either having already started hovering or before starting to glide, will cause you to perform a head bash, which is essentially a ground pound. I'm not a huge fan of it being mapped to custom 2 along with the hover, as they are essentially polar opposites and are going to be used in entirely different contexts, especially when custom 3 isn't otherwise used, but I'd have to again assume this was done to best fit this original Spyro control scheme. Spyro also causes some changes to how shields and speed sneakers operate, but I didn't really test these too much, so I'm just going to rattle the changes off in a list. Flame and Elemental Shield give you the Super Flame, which is essentially a more ranged equivalent to the original Fire Breath. The Whirlwind Shield enhances your gliding abilities by making you drop more slowly and glide again more quickly after hovering, both of which are changes I feel should be the baseline anyway. Your Fire Breath also stops dealing damage. The Attraction Electric Shield allows Spyro to shoot an electrical bolt, and the Force Shield increases the area of effect of the head bash landing. There are also a few super form changes beyond the usual increased speed and invincibility, but as previously stated in several videos, SRB2 2.2.10 has made it difficult for me to capture varied footage while testing superforms due to save file changes, so I can only show you this list of extra abilities. Make of it what you will. Spyro's sprites seem to be traced off of his models from the Spyro games, which obviously leads to a great sense of weight and heft to them that some other characters lack. I also like the fire sprites used, as I think they're custom, but one thing I'm not a massive fan of are Spyro's wide open eyes. They just freak me out. As I've often said by this point, SRB2 modding sprite game is so good that I don't really have anything new to comment on with this guy. Overall, Spyro is a very fun mod to play with, and the slower and more relaxed pace that you are somewhat forced to play through levels with is refreshing when most mods attempt to do the exact opposite. Sprite-wise, he looks really good, and merit must be given to how fluid some animations look, even if others look stiff in comparison. The main problems the mod has seem to stem from a sense of having to try and capture, to as accurate a degree as possible, the original Spyro games, which I have to assume are the inspirations behind the underpowered glide and some odd control scheme layouts. But I think the package as a whole adds up to a solid 8 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed the video, and ciao.